Welcome. This is respiratory system part 8. So today we will be discussing on pleural diseases. That is, in that I will be discussing actually on pleural effusion, pneumothorax, and something about the disorders of mediastinum. So first we'll discuss something about pleural effusion. What is pleural effusion? It is actually a fluid in the lung, in between the lung and thoracic cavity. That is called as pleural effusion.
Yes, sir.
Hmm? Hmm? So the collection of fluid in between the actually within the this is the lung
Pleural
and this is
space.
the thoracic cavity. This is into the two layers of the pleura. That is in between the visceral and parietal pleura.
Parietal pleural.
Yeah, that is pleural effusion actually. So fluid enters this pleural space through the capillaries in the parietal pleura, and from parietal pleura it is capillaries. Uh, from visceral pleura, it is through or from the peritoneal cavity via small holes there. Hmm? Okay, this is the way it enters into the pleural fluid, enters there. And to note that the what is the normal uh, entering of fluid, the lymphatics inside the pleural cavity have got 20 times more capacity to remove them out. So it is difficult to get collected there. Only if the lymphatics have lost their capacity to drain it out. That is, if the accumulation of fluid is 20 times, more than 20 times, then the accumulation happens inside the pleural fluid. Hmm? So there is when it comes to pleural effusion, we need to know whether the collected fluid is a transudate or a exudate. Hmm? So the exudate means there is a inflammation there. Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Inflammation. So this inflammation is usually local. So exudate. So all exudative diseases, uh, more often, more often they are what inflammation, and they are local diseases. Hmm? Whereas the transudate, it can be systemic manifestation of a disease. Systemic manifestation of the disease. It is very general. You should not go by strict laws. They should understand this much. So if you get exudate, you try to focus on the cause which is stayed inside that in the lung. So if you get a transudate, start looking outside the lung. Sort of. Hmm? So to classify a pleural fluid hmm, as exudate versus transudate, there is a criteria called Leitz
Yes, sir.
criteria. Hmm? And this has got three components. You can see here, there are three components here. And these components wander around LDH and protein fluid, protein in the pleural fluid. Hmm? So the first criteria is pleural fluid protein, huh? Serum ratio. That is, if it is more than 0.5, hmm? it suggests exudate. Okay. And
Yes, sir.
similarly, LDH, fluid LDH and serum LDH more than 0.6, it again suggests exudate. And if the pleural fluid LDH is more than 2/3 of the normal upper limit of the serum, then also suggests exudate. So to classify a fluid as exudate, as far as the Leitz criteria is concerned, one of this is sufficient. If you got any one of these, you can call it as exudate. Now, so this criteria actually over classifies fluids into exudates. There is a limitation. That's why among the 25% of the transudate get called as exudates because of this loose criteria. Okay. So there is a limitation of this Leitz criteria. So due to this Leitz criteria, around 25% of the translates get wrongly classified as exudates. That is, it overestimates fluid as exudates. That's what it says. Okay, it overestimates fluid as exudates. So that is a sort of a limitation of what? Leitz criteria. So as there is a limitation in the Leitz criteria, we need to, when you analyze a pleural fluid by Leitz criteria, when you analyze a pleural fluid Leitz criteria, if a clinical assessment suggests it is transudate, clinically you are suspecting a transudate, but Leitz criteria is telling you it as exudate, then we need to apply this. If the gradient between serum protein and pleural fluid protein, if it is more than 3.1 grams per dl, then you can call it as transudate. After this is after applying Leitz criteria. And in fact, this is a very good one. Serum protein, pleural fluid gradient you look at. If this gradient is more than 3.1, then it is what? Transudate. It is transudate. That means the pleural fluid protein is less, serum protein is more. That's what. For exudative effusions, we need to investigate more comparatively transudative effusion. If you get a effusion which is a transudate, the proper assessment inside the fluid field actually tests are less. If you get a exudative pleural effusion, then you have to work out a lot because you got to get the cause of the fluid inside there only. Got it? If it is a transudate, due to it being a manifestation of a systemic disease, analysis of pleural fluid becomes less. You'll start looking elsewhere in the body to know the cause. Okay. So somebody background, there is a background noise. So if the fluid is exudate, then you'll have to look for the appearance of fluid, glucose level, differential count, microbiological study, and cytology. So glucose level, there are diseases where the glucose level is reduced. There are disease, lymphocytosis will be there, polymarchocytosis will be there, microbiological culture to get especially tuberculosis, and cytology for malignancy. All these things you will have to check if you get a exudative pleural effusion. In case if you get a transudate pleural effusion, the assessment of pleural fluid limits there. Okay, you are getting me?
Yes, sir.
Now, diagnostic algorithm for pleural effusion. Same thing in algorithm. This is from Harrison. This diagram is from Harrison. Now you got a pleural effusion here. Perform diagnostic thoracosynthesis. Measure the pleural fluid, protein, and LDH. Check this Leitz criteria. And if that is exudate, it comes this side. If it is not exudate, it comes this side. Then if it is not exudate, then treat the underlying disease. There is no further investigation here. Only this disease as such, we'll have to go on search of the disease proper. In case you end up getting exudate, then you'll come here. Get it? So now when you get exudate, you look for pleural. This PF means pleural fluid. Glucose you check. You check cytology, differential count, culture, and markers of tuberculosis you check. If glucose is down, then the diagnosis becomes little bit easy. It is usually down in malignancy, bacterial infections actually. Bacterial infections, of course, in tuberculosis it can come down, but it comes down less compared to other bacterial infections. Okay, parapneumonic effusions I'm talking actually. In them it comes down further. Then the most important is this one: rheumatoid arthritis, rheumatoid pleuritis, whatever arthritis. So these three things will be first sorted to check for the exudative pleural effusion with the reduced glucose. Okay. Now, if this is not the case, glucose is not an issue, then you come down here. Then one more thing, consider the pulmonary embolism now. See, a sort of this is there in the western side, but we usually end up coming here, tuberculosis, because in India this is more common for us than compared to this. Fine, we come here, then we go back here. Ours is look for tuberculosis, check for signs of tuberculosis, that is the markers of tuberculosis. I'll come to that. Then treat them if it is. If not, then we come up here. In fact, this should come here. This should come here for India. Okay. So pulmonary embolism, you check for pulmonary embolism diagnosis is by HRCT. You
City.
know, HRCT. You see, that is imaging studies. RD dimer. I told you, I discussed about the pulmonary
Yes, sir.
embolism.
D-dimer.
Work up for work up for pulmonary embolism and treat it accordingly. Then, so if the symptoms improve with the treatment, then your diagnosis more or less confirmed. If not, then further investigate with the taking pleural biopsy, CT guided biopsy, and all those things will start. Fine. Now, effusion secondary to heart failure. So, what sort of effusion you get in heart failure? Usually, it is transudate.
Yes, sir.
Okay. More often, left heart failure produces what? Heart failure, pleural effusion compared to right. Diagnostic paracentesis, if effusion is, so if there is a heart failure patient, left heart failure patient, if you see pleural effusion, don't prick there unless if the effusion is not bilateral. Unilateral with the LVF, left heart failure, unilateral pleural effusion, check why something. Whether is a if the patient has got fever, if there is a pleuritic chest pain, suggesting inflammation. So if the I want after treating with the decongestive like diuretic and all that for left heart failure, if there is a persistence of effusion, then do diagnostic. I'm talking about diagnostic now. Diagnostic aspiration C. If not, don't prick. Leave them. Treat the heart failure. And if there is a confusion, you get in the from the pleural fluid, get this estimation. NT-proBNP, if that is more than 1500, then it suggests this effusion is due to heart failure. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, hepatic hydrothorax. Hepatic hydrothorax is basically something like effusion second to liver. Liver and ascites. Ascites, they produces effusion. Okay, they can produce effusion, especially subdiaphragmatic effusion. They do produce many more often on the right side. Right side, then it is transudate. Okay, it is transudate here, and around 5%. Direct movement. This is due to direct movement of lateral fluid through small openings in the diaphragm. Okay, usually it is right-sided, and patients become dyspneic. They may develop dyspnea due to this. Then one thing which we commonly also see is parapneumonic effusion. That means patient has got pneumonia, and this presents with pleural effusion also. That's what it is. Okay. Parapneumonic effusion means it is pneumonia associated with effusion. Okay. This is usually associated with bacterial pneumonias, lung abscess, and sometimes bronchiectasis. These patients can develop effusion. These patients. Now, empyema means if this effusion, when you call it empyema, if the fluid inside the pleural cavity, you call it empyema when it is grossly purulent. If not, you call it as effusion. Now, aerobic bacteria causing pneumonia, they present with acute illness, sudden onset of fever, chills, and like that. Whereas anaerobic present with a subacute presentation. Okay, slowly. Both of them, they will be peripheral leukocytosis will be there. That much is understandable. Now there is something like when you should prick, try to drain this parapneumonic effusion. For that, there is a criteria set. In lateral decubitus X-ray, patient is made to go in a supine position. Then you take a chest X-ray in a lateral view. Lateral decubitus radiography or CT. CT means patient will be sleeping only, nothing to worry here. CT of the chest or using ultrasound. Ultrasound, patient will be sleeping. So in this stage, if you can see the height of the pleural fluid, if it is more than 10 mm, then it suggests need for what? Tapping,
Vessel.
therapeutic tapping. That is the one thing. That's why this is important. This can be the MCQ. Just see. That's why I told you specifically. Paranpneumonic effusion continued. Same thing. Now, indications for more than therapeutic paracentesis. Therapeutic paracentesis is usually done with needle aspiration. You push a needle and try to take out that fluid. That's what is said. Now, it may not be sufficient because of many other factors. Like sometimes this effusion are due to paranpneumonic effusion, there will be loculation there. If there are many loculation, then your needle aspiration may not be sufficient. You will have to become more aggressive. If the aspirated fluid has got a very low pH, then also aspiration may not be sufficient. If the glucose level is less than 60, then also it may not be sufficient. Gram stain, culture positive, and all those things, because it may not be sufficient. And if the frank pus, aspiration may not be sufficient, maybe you will have to go for intracostal drainage tube, something like that. Yeah, written here, see. ICD. They push a tube in the chest. This is chest, na? They push a tube here, keep it in the peritoneal cavity, drain it out. Correct it to water seal. You know
Yes,
that,
sir.
you have seen that.
Yes.
So there will be ICD. Then ICD may not be sufficient if there is especially due to this localization, all that localization there. Then you have to use combination of fibrotic therapy with the tissue plasma activator and deoxyribonuclease basically to lyse this. Okay. Then if that is not sufficient, then go for thoracoscopy and decortication. These are surgical interventions later. So this is a little bit about management about paranpneumonic effusion. Now, effusion secondary to malignancy. The malignancy in the sense it could be primary lung malignancy or from breast and lymphomas and all that. Most of the effusions that cause malignancy are either lung carcinoma, breast carcinoma, or lymphomas. These are the common causes. And one should know that dyspnea is out of proportion to the size of the effusion. Even if your patient has got moderate effusion, patient's complaint of dyspnea appears very more. That sort of imbalance will be there in malignant pleural effusions. And it is exudate with the reduced glucose. Cytology, ask for cytology. If you don't get it, diagnosis, then go for thoracoscopy, then CT guided biopsy. Then if there is a recurrent pleural effusion even after treating, you aspirate, again it accumulates. You aspirate, you accumulate, then we go for pleurodiasis. That means we make the both the pleura to get fibrosed
Attached.
together. Yeah, so that we abolish the pleural cavity, so that the effusion doesn't recur. Treatment is usually symptomatic because if these patients of malignancy, they come with pleural effusion, it suggests it's a very advanced malignancy. Nothing much can be done to them. So go symptomatically. Relieve this dyspnea, do pleurodiasis, such things to start. Usually, we don't give them chemotherapy. Most of them are pleural effusion, even chemotherapy is not yet used. And just treat them with what all just discussed. And this pleurodiasis is achieved with the doxycycline injection intra. This can be MCQ. Installation of sclerosing agents such as doxycycline there inside. Got it?
Yes, sir.
This is for pleurodiasis. And tissue plasmogen activator and dioxyribonucleic acid is for localization breakdown in paranpneumonic effusion. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Now we'll come to mesothelioma. It's a mesothelioma is the primary pleural, the malignancy is inside, and most often it is associated with the asbestos exposure. Patient will come with chest pain and shortness of breath. Pleural effusion of generalized pleural thickening with a shrunken hemithorax. An image guided biopsy is the one needed to be done. Mesothelioma. Now we'll come to pleural effusion secondary to pulmonary embolism. This is often overlooked. Many people, their patient will have pleural pulmonary embolism, they present with pleural effusion, and many times it is missed. Diagnosis is missed. So we should consider this diagnosis. If there is a undiagnosed, basically in our context, Indian context, we'll have to look for tuberculosis. If not, think of pulmonary embolism. Also, see, find out whether the patient has got other findings suggest a pulmonary embolism and try to diagnose that like that way. Always it is exudate, almost always. Confusing again with the tuberculosis. Spiral CT scan you do and try to figure out pulmonary artery embolus. Okay, if the pleural effusion increases in size, one thing, now you are diagnosed as a pulmonary embolism, pleural effusion. If the pleural effusion increases in size, after what you treatment of pulmonary embolism is anticoagulation. Am I
Yes,
correct?
sir.
And
Yes,
if
sir.
the pleural effusion increases in size, then after anticoagulation, most often the patient must have had recurrent pulmonary embolism, or there could be complications such as hemothorax, bleeding there, or there is a pleural infection. These could be the causes. Okay. Then we'll come to our Indian context is tuberculosis pleuritis, and it is, we all know that it is exudate, and the cell count is, cell type is small, lymphocytes will be there, and apart from adenosine, apart from that, we have got other markers which suggest what tuberculosis pleuritis is adenosine D-minus more than 40 international units and interferon gamma more than 140 picograms. If they are there, they are markers for suggesting tuberculosis pleuritis. Okay, not very diagnostic, but again, they are marker along with other picture if you can diagnose that. So confirmation is by culture from the pleural fluid. You have to culture the mycobacteria there, or do needle biopsy there, or thoracoscopy. With this, you can diagnostic confirmation can be achieved. Okay, the recommended treatment is same for pulmonary and pleural tuberculosis. Same treatment is recommended. So, what is the treatment of tuberculosis? Category 1 and category 2.
Sir,
3 months,
antitubercular therapy.
3 and 6 months. Na? 3
Yes,
months,
sir.
how much? What? HREZ,
Yes,
HRE.
4FD, 4FDC,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. HREZ and HRE. Septokinase is removed. No. As a primary I'm talking about now. Now we'll come to chylothorax. Chylothorax is due to thoracic duct disruption, damage to this thoracic duct, and it is most commonly second to thoracic surgery. Due to surgery, this can get diagnosed. And the fluid is milky due to this triglycerides. Look at this. Milkiness of the serum and milkiness of this is usually due to triglycerides, not cholesterol. Usually it is triglycerides. Triglycerides will be there, more triglycerides, exceeding 110 mg per dl. That is it. No obvious trauma. If there is no obvious trauma in the history, then you have to look for the causes for chylothorax by lymphangiogram or mediastinal CT scan to assess. You do that to know whether there is something else which is obstructing this thoracic duct. Okay, like that. Either trauma history is there, that could be the cause. Now, treatment is insertion of chest tube plus administration of octreotide. This is the first line of treatment. Insertion of chest tube plus administration of octreotide. Then percutaneous, if this is not helping, then you have to do percutaneous trans-abdominal thoracic duct blockage. To the abdomen percutaneously, they put a coil there and block this thoracic duct. Okay, then ligation of the thoracic duct. These are there. Okay, now then one thing you should know, when you put a chest tube, you should not drain it for a long time. If you drain it for a long time, patient will develop malnutrition and immunologic incompetence. Okay, and D5 is the damage to thoracic duct is below D5 vertebra and above D5 vertebra. If it is below D5 vertebra, that is, it produces right-sided pleural effusion. Above, it is left. Getting confused now. Yeah. So, ulta. Below D5, it is left. It is right. Just find out this. Chylothorax effusion in relation to D5, right and left. Hello. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, I am actually getting confused there. I'll find out this. Tomorrow you tell me. Now we'll come to hemothorax. So when you call a effusion, see, when you push a needle inside the lung, inside the pleural cavity, you may get a hemorrhagic fluid. You have seen it, huh?
Yes, sir.
Reddish color, it may come. But that doesn't mean it is hemothorax, because you may pierce some capillaries and that can may bleed into the pleural cavity. There may be marginal hemorrhagic sign can be there, hemorrhagic fluid can be there, but that is not hemothorax. To call a pleural effusion as hemothorax, you have to look for the hematocrit of the fluid. Hmm? Fluid hematocrit. And if this fluid hematocrit is more than 50% of blood hematocrit, then we can call it as hemothorax. Okay. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Now there is some importance here. Most common causes trauma, especially road traffic accident, chest injury, and all that. Those patients will present with a hemothorax. Rupture of or others are rupture of blood vessels or tumors inside the lung. They are causes of hemothorax. And how do you treat hemothorax? For treating hemothorax, you have to put a drainage ICD tube only, not aspiration with needle. This you do it because you want there is a laceration in the lungs there, Dura. Fine. If there's a fluid in between, this tear will not get closed. And by putting tube and draining this fluid, this both visceral pleura and parietal pleura will get opposed to each other so that this bleeding stops. This laceration gets plugged with this by touching. So, therefore, hemothorax ICD, not what needle aspiration. Okay,
Yes, sir.
understood?
Yes, sir.
Others are there or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're all people understanding what I'm telling.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then miscellaneous causes of pleural effusion. Other causes. Now, yeah, if you look at the amylase level in the pleural fluid, and if it is increased, then esophageal rupture, pancreatic disease, and also malignancy. I forgot to write here. Malignancy also can be the cause for raised amylase level in the pleural fluid. And predominantly polymorphism means what? Bacterial infection, either in the lung or in the abdomen. So asbestos pleural effusion is one of exclusions, not mesothelioma. So you have to basically go do with exclusions, sorry. And Meek syndrome, it is benign ovarian tumor. There will be peritoneal pleural effusions will be there.
Ascites with.
Yeah, ascites. Yeah, ascites and lung. Serositis is basically. Okay. Miscellaneous causes other than that. Now, following coronary artery bypass surgery, that is CABG, what we call, there can be effusion. Usually, it happens within first week only. It will be yellow in color, and more often it is left-sided and eosinophilic. Eosinophilic count in the effusion is more, and response to just aspiration, paracetamol. Multiple times, 2-3 times you aspirate, the patient will get all right. Other causes are abdomen surgery, radiation, liver, lung, heart transplantation, all these things, intravascular incisions like central line, and all things can cause effusion. These are the causes of transitive pleural effusions. That is congestive heart failure, cirrhosis, nephrotic syndrome, peritoneal dialysis, superior venical obstruction, mixed ischemic pneumothorax. Easy to remember. Remember this because others are all exudate. Exudate, such a big list is there. And exudative infections will cause exudative mesothelioma, metastatic or neoplasms, collagen vascular diseases also will cause exudative. Then your esophageal rupture, pancreatic disease, all diaphragmatic, all these things. After transplant, use these drugs also. They cause exudates. So all rest of them can come and fall here only. And CABG also, post cardiac surgery syndrome, Dressler syndrome, all these things will cause exudative pleural effusions, except these three, these seven, more or less. Simple to remember. This is from Harrison. This list table I have taken it from Harrison. Now we'll go to pneumothorax. Okay. In pneumothorax, it can be classified as spontaneous, traumatic, and tension. Spontaneous means pneumothorax without trauma. Basically, it is a basic comparison with the trauma. If there is a trauma, then it becomes traumatic. If not, it is spontaneous. In spontaneous, it can be primary or secondary. Primary means not clinically significant lung disease. There is no clinically significant lung disease, whereas secondary pneumothorax is a significant clinically observable lung disease is there. Okay, that's what primary and secondary means. Traumatic, it could be penetrating and non-penetrating chest injuries. Tension pneumothorax is here. Throughout the respiratory cycle, there is a positive pressure. Pleural pressure is usually negative. It is negative. Whereas in case of a tension pneumothorax, both during inspiration and expiration, there is a positive pressure inside. That's what it is called as tension pneumothorax. Okay. Primary spontaneous pneumothorax, usually there will be small blebs in the apical area. A small cyst, they will rupture. And these are associated with the smokers. They may not have emphysema now. They may not have emphysema, but smokers with small blebs will rupture. That's what is primary. Once they develop COPD emphysema, that is different secondary. That's why it is a subclinical lung disease there here. And once they rupture, there is a 50% recurrent chance. There are many more small blebs. That's what it says. So the treatment is just simple aspiration. They may not require intracostal drainage tube. They not require. Simple aspiration is sufficient. And if the recurrence is there, then stapling those blebs with either thoracoscope and all that, we can achieve 100% success rate for preventing what? Recurrence. Okay. This is for primary with a subclinical lung disease. Now we'll go to secondary. Here COPD is the most common cause for secondary. This one emphysema basically. They can come with secondary pneumothorax. Of course, COPD is a common cause. Other lung diseases can also cause secondary pneumothorax. It is more life-threatening due to underlying lung disease. So underlying lung disease is very much there, and if that along with that, if the patient develops pneumothorax, it becomes more life-threatening. In fact, they are comparing with the primary now. Treatment is tube, same tube ICD they are talking now, not simple aspiration here. Thoracoscopy, thoracotomy, stapling up blebs, and all those things may be required. If they are not good candidates for surgery, then cause fluoridesis with doxycycline. Okay, this is the last resort. Try to close those areas where blebs and all that are there. If you cannot do that, then do fluoridesis with doxycycline. Whereas doxycycline I just discussed in malignancy, pleural effusion also, fluoridesis. Okay. Now, traumatic pneumothorax. This is understandable with penetrating and non-penetrating injury. If there is just a pneumothorax, tube thoracostomy is sufficient. If there are both hemo-pneumo both, then we'll have to put two tubes, one in the up, one in the down. Is a lung, one tube here, one tube here. This will drain fluid. This will drain, then in blood here. This will drain here. That is what. And iatrogenic pneumothorax is traumatic pneumothorax. Now we'll come to tension pneumothorax. Most of the common cause for tension pneumothorax is what? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So the most common cause for tension pneumothorax is mechanical ventilation or ventilators. They can develop tension pneumothorax. And they stop that background music. Okay. Then even after CPR, you know what is CPR? Cardiopulmonary resuscitation efforts also, they can develop tension pneumothorax. That can be a complication. In fact, you do CPR, put them on ventilator, it will aggravate further. That's why after doing CPR, when they put it on the ventilator, sometimes they take chest X-ray. Okay. Okay. They can go for tension pneumothorax. That's the reason. Positive pressure decreased. So as due to high positive pressure, the decreased venous return to the heart, and BP can fall down. Okay, because inside the thorax there is a increased pressure, venous return to the heart will come down, cardiac output will come down, BP may crash. So treatment is, look at this large bore needle. It is not aspiration. What is aspiration? You put a syringe, put a needle, connect it to the syringe, then with a piston you pull. This is a aspiration. Okay, wide bore needle means here what we do is, this is a thorax, this is the first rib, this is second intercostal space. You put one needle, large bore needle here, push it in, and you may connect this tube to water seal or open it, depends upon. Throw that tube inside the water. That's it. So air will come out. Okay, this is a treatment for tension pneumothorax. We don't aspirate here. Aspiration for pneumothorax is for primary spontaneous pneumothorax. Okay.
Yes, sir.
These are all MCQs. They'll trick you here. That's why I'm specially telling that. Large bore needle is used here for drainage. Okay. So you should let that needle be there as long as the gas escapes, and sooner you will have to put a intercostal drainage. Okay. Thoracostomy tube has to be inserted. Once you have done that, you can take out this needle. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now we'll come to disorders of mediastinum. Now, mediastinum is, there are three. I'll just discuss these three: anterior, middle, and posterior. Anterior mediastinum is, this is a lateral view. There is a heart. See, actually, in front of the heart is anterior. On the heart, here it is middle, and below that is posterior. Something like that it is. Grossly. Now, anterior mediastinum is anteriorly, it is bounded by sternum is anterior, pericardium is the posterior here. Fine. Okay. And
Yes, sir.
pericardium and brachiocephalus venous. And middle is in between anterior and posterior. Posterior is pericardium again, trachea, and vertebral column here. Okay. This is posterior. Okay. Now we'll discuss something about anterior mediastinum. Sternum anterior, same thing written here. This contains thymus gland. You should know these structures because what tumors can come. That's the reason I put this. Okay. Thymus gland, anterior mediastinal lymph nodes, internal memory, arteries and veins. These are the structures in the anterior mediastinum. Middle mediastinum contains almost all heart, all things connected to heart, ascending transverse arch of aorta. Descending aorta comes in posterior mediastinum. Remember that. Descending aorta comes in posterior mediastinum. And vena cava comes in anterior mediastinum. Vena cava comes in that inferior vena cava, I'm telling. Inferior vena cava comes in middle mediastinum.
Middle.
Whereas descending aorta comes in posterior mediastinum.
Posterior.
Yeah, these things, the tricky things. Brachiocephalic arteries, veins, phrenic nerve, trachea, main bronchi, contagious lymph nodes, and pulmonary arteries and veins. Okay. Of the heart, descending aorta comes, descending thoracic aorta comes in posterior mediastinum. Trachea falls in middle, esophagus falls in posterior. And this thoracic duct, azygous vein, all they come in posterior. Then mediastinal lymph nodes, posterior group. Same thing, depending upon this, contents. This is a chart which are taken from Harrison. You can get it there. See that all these tumors belong to that. Okay, neurogenic posterior. Then all this thymoma, lymphoma, totoma, all is anterior, and bronchogenic cyst, lymph node, granulomatous, all this comes in middle. Just go through that. Now we'll come to something like acute mediastinitis. The most common cause of acute mediastinitis is esophageal perforation. Due to usually like surgical interventions, trauma, road traffic accidentation, and all this can produce what? Esophageal perforation can cause acute mediastinitis. And this sternotomy, where they do sternotomy for thoracic surgeries, especially heart surgeries.
Yes, sir.
Okay, CABG, all this surgery, all that they have to do sternotomy, and this can cause acute mediastinitis. Then infections from the neck, oral cavity, and facial area can descend down into mediastinum. Can. Now something about chronic mediastinitis. So the ranges from the causes ranges from granulomatous inflammation to fibrosing mediastinitis. There are two types here. It can be just granulomatous inflammation up to fibrosing mediastinitis. If it is granulomatous usually doesn't cause symptoms. If it is fibrosing, then it causes vibrations of structures inside compression, all that. So the common causes of granulomatous here are histoplasmosis and tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis.
Yeah, and other rarely. At times these also can cause, not common, but So as I said, granulomatous no symptoms, whereas fibrosing compression of superior vena cava, pulmonary artery, and all these things. Compression, and it's a phrenic nerve means harsh voice. Okay, vocal cord palsy, phrenic nerve, recurrent, recurrent laryngeal, sorry, not phrenic nerve. Recurrent laryngeal nerve will cause vocal cord palsy. Na? Phrenic
Yes,
nerve
sir.
means diaphragmatis. Okay, diaphragmatic palsy can talk. Now we'll come to pneumomediastinum. That pneumo means in the air in the mediastinum. It is basically. So the mechanisms are alveolar rupture, lung alveolar rupture with a dissection into the mediastinum. After rupture, there is dissection and goes into the mediastinum. That is one of the causes. Then perforation of the rupture of the esophagus can also cause esophagus, trachea, main bronchi. If they perforate, they can also cause pneumomediastinum. Dissection of air from the neck. Surgical emphysema you must have seen last
Yes, sir.
work on the lung outside scans under the skin, and this can go into the mediastinum also. Can go into mediastinum also. The complaints will be patient will complain of severe substernal chest pain. Patient will have severe substernal chest pain without radiation to the neck and arms. And there may be subcutaneous emphysema in the suprasternal notch. One important finding: if you put your finger on the suprasternal notch of the patient, you can feel the crepes there. That crepes with what you see in surgical emphysema on suprasternal notch. If you feel that crepes there, it suggests what? Pneumomediastinum. What is Hamann sign? Crunching sound with each heartbeat, because
Yes,
there is
sir.
the air in the mediastinum, heart is there in the middle mediastinum, so it can cause sound, crunching sign, that is Hamann sign can be there. Mediastinal air, see the treatment would be give them oxygen. So if the inspired air contains more oxygen, oxygen is more absorbed in exchange of other airs, more absorbed, so the mediastinal air comes down. That is a sort of a treatment, like replacement, displacement, sorry. Okay, that's how we do treat. And other ways to put a needle and aspirate. No, that's about theory. Now we'll start MCQs. Fine. A patient of staphylococcal pneumonia develops acute breathlessness. What is the probable cause? Tell me.
Pneumothorax, sir.
Why you say pneumothorax?
Sir, Staphylococcus pneumonia is
Nematocysts.
causes.
Staphylococcal infections can cause nematocysts. Staphylococcal pneumonia can cause nematocysts. This can rupture and cause pneumothorax. Very good. That is the answer. So that is the answer. So respiratory failure, unlikely. Patient acute breathlessness. Acute. It won't be acute, nah. It will take some time because ERDS and all that. It takes time. But anyway, this is the first choice you should go look into. A patient comes with chest trauma and difficulty of breathing now. A patient has come with the chest trauma, is a chest trauma, and has got difficulty in breathing. On examination, there is a hyperresonant node with the BP down. What is the next step of action? What do you think? A patient has got a hyperresonant
Pneumothorax, sir.
node. Yeah, that is a cause of pneumothorax node. Now you are seeing a chest trauma is there, difficulty in breathing is there, and BP is down. What do you want to do? Immediately among the
Wide bore
choices.
needle.
Wide bore
Yeah.
needle insertion. insertion in second intercostal
Intercostal
space.
What?
space.
Yes, what is it?
Whiteboard needle insertion in second intercostal space.
Put a needle and see if the air comes out, he'll get relieved. Otherwise, you start looking into other causes. Okay, this is emergency procedure because his BP is also falling down. His cardiac output is also down. Okay. Okay. Now, okay. The patient has presented with a sudden onset of difficulty in breathing, with the respiratory rate is 28 per minute, with a normal blood pressure. Chest exercise given below. What is the diagnosis? Tell me, what is the diagnosis in this case?
Pleural effusion.
Sir, pneumothorax, sir.
So, how many are for pleural effusion? Akash? How many are for pleural effusion? Why you say it is a pleural effusion, Uzma? What you have seen? What is the one thing that makes you think of pleural effusion?
Sir,
The
costophrenic,
costophrenic angle. You have to look for costophrenic.
cardiophrenic and cardiophrenic angle.
Yeah, that means this is a costrum, this is a phrenic. This
Obliterated,
angle,
sir.
yeah, it should be obliterated. You should not be able to see here actually. If it is not seen, then there is accumulation of fluid. Okay,
Yes, sir.
but in this case, in fact, it is very deep dive. You can see here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In fact, there is a deepening. Nicely. That means probably air is going here and pushing them separately nicely, and we are able to see deep. Deeply. You can see more deep. And apart from that, what has happened to the mediastinum? It is to the right. This is the left side. This is the right side. Now, what has happened to the mediastinum? It is shifted to right, left, or middle. Anybody can tell me this? What has happened to the mediastinum?
Opposite side, sir. It's left.
What do you mean opposite side? You tell me left or right now. That's all.
Left,
In
sir.
this case,
Left
sir.
side shifted.
yeah. See, this is the left side. You can see the heart. Heart usually comes like this, na?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in fact, you can see heart is almost shifted here. And look at this trachea. Trachea,
Okay.
it has come like this. This is a trachea. Sorry. You can see. This is trachea is also shifted. So all structures are shifted here. And I want you to focus on this. This line. Can you see this line?
Yes, sir.
What is this?
Collapse lung.
This is the pleura of this right lung.
Yes, sir.
Right lung pleural margin, pleural reflection. You're seeing here.
Lung
Okay.
is collapsed.
Otherwise, it was here. Due to air in the pleural cavity here, it is pushed. Pleural margins are seen here. Okay. So this is, that's why you're not able to see any lung markings. Can you see lung markings? Sorry. See, the same thing. All is black here. Okay. It's
Lung
black.
margin is.
No lung, reticular sense. Something should be there, na? Like this. Nothing is there. So black thing, deep costophrenic angle, and the reflection, media shifted to opposite side. It all points towards pneumothorax. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. A car accident patient comes complains of breathlessness. On examination, his BP is 110/70. MFSG, Glasgow Coma scale is 15/15. The trachea shows deviation to the right. Trachea shows deviation to the right in the suprasternal notch. Okay. There are reduced breath sounds in left and infra-axillary and infra-mammary area. So now we'll not forget about the X-ray. What is this suggesting you? So there are reduced breath sounds in left infra-axillary or infra-mammary area with the mediastinum shifted to the opposite side. What are the
Pneumothorax.
differential diagnosis you think?
Pneumothorax.
One is pneumothorax. Okay, good, very good. Other?
Sir, pleural effusion.
Effusion.
Pleural effusion.
Yeah. But the difference is node, resonance node. Huh?
Yes, sir.
In pleural effusion, you get, see, trachea and what is other thing here? Trachea and decrease air entry. Decrease air entry. Both are seen. They go in hand in pneumothorax and effusion. Whereas percussion, if you do, if you get
Sonidal, sir.
hyperresonant node, it is pneumothorax. If you get a scodiac or
Sonidal.
sonidal, it is effusion.
Pleural effusion.
Effusion. So anyway, this I don't think so anything about that is mentioned here. So there are reduced breath sounds. Trachea shifted opposite side. Infra-axillary, infra-memory on the left side. Their air is decreased, and chest X-ray is shown below. Yeah, chest X-ray. Now, what is the best step in the management of this patient? What is it? This patient has come with a history of trauma.
Yes, sir. Traumatic pneumothorax, sir.
Traumatic pneumothorax.
Where is the pneumothorax? Left or right?
Sir, right, sir.
Side.
And trachea shifted to right again.
Yes, sir.
You say right-sided pneumothorax and trachea also to right. And left side air entry is down.
Yes, sir.
What? Yes, sir. What? Yes, sir, man. See, one thing in respiratory system, always you blame the side where there is a decreased air entry. If you got a confusion. Dictum. If the air entry is decreased, blame that side. You're getting me?
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Now, in this case, which side air entry is decreased, left or right?
Sir, left.
Yeah. So if you have got a left side air entry down, you have to blame on the left side. And you start creating further add-ons on that. Okay. Fine. Blame the left, then start adding things upon that. Because decreased movement side, decreased air entry side is the problematic side in lung. Okay. It's a general rule. More often you're right when you go by this approach. Okay. If there is a problem, the air will not be there on that side. Okay. Comparatively. Not a very, you should start approaching like that, I mean to say. So here you got left side air entry down, means left side there is a problem. Now which is left side here? This is right, this is left.
Left.
So there is a problem on the left side. Now on the left side, what you are seeing? What is this? What costopronic angle can you see?
No,
No.
sir.
Yeah.
It's a L is
Observation of
S
costopronic angle, what does it suggest?
pleural effusion.
Pleural.
Effusion. It suggests effusion now. And now we'll go with the effusion now. So, yeah, trachea shifted this side. There is a Ellis curve here.
Yes, sir.
And the costopronic angle gone. And you can see the white shadow of about effusion. Yes. Then there is a left side effusion.
Pleural effusion.
Yeah, pleural effusion. Now the problem is this patient has come with a trauma. Okay, you got a patient with trauma now. What do you do? What do you suspect? What sort of effusion? Pneumothorax. Okay. It because there is a trauma, this much of effusion could be pneumothorax. Okay. It could be pneumothorax. May not be pneumothorax. May not be pneumo. The two. Just pneumothorax it could be. And treatment for pneumothorax, what I told?
Chest tube.
This is not heart. This is out. Pericardial sentence means heart. Immediate thoracotomy may not be required. Just put this tube and see, then think later. Fine. Why you have to do chest tube? Because if you put the chest tube and drain this fluid urgently, the visceral and parietal pleura will abut. And whatever laceration was there here, that will get sealed and bleeding will stop. That's the reason you have to put a chest tube. You got it?
Yes, sir.
With effusion and needle aspiration, You may not be able to empty everything. There will be some amount of fluid left there. With a tube, you can empty it out fast. Okay,
Yes, sir.
understood? Now, patient has a right-sided pleural effusion on thoracentesis. Pleural fluid does not clot on standing. What is the possible cause? Mixed syndrome, CHF, malignant pleural effusion, and tuberculosis.
Sir, CHF, sir.
Why?
It's transudative, sir. It's
Yeah.
not
Of
clot.
this is considered cholesterol exudates. Okay. So transitive pleural effusion do not clot. Good. Simple. Simple. Okay. Now, all are true regarding tension pneumothorax except mark only. This one is just forget what is copy paste problem. It is okay. All are true regarding tension pneumothorax except. So for tension pneumothorax, leading
All are,
cause is mechanical ventilation. This
all
is
are
right.
true.
Yeah. This leading cause is mechanical ventilation.
Positive
Positive
pressure
pressure in the
also.
pleural space throughout the respiratory cycle. This also is correct. This also is
Correct, sir.
correct. Needle aspiration of the air, inadequate cardiac output. Yeah. All these three
All
are
are
truths of pneumothorax because the question is except this is not needle aspiration. Wide bore needle.
needle
It's
insertion.
not aspiration. You have to connect it out. If you keep on aspirating, it has to come out fast. Okay. Wide bore needle insertion it is.
Yes, sir.
No, because it's a tension pneumothorax. If it is spontaneous primary spontaneous pneumothorax, needle aspiration is okay. Not even for may not be even for secondary.
Yes, sir.
Pneumothorax. Young male met with a road traffic accident and is brought. Hold on, hold on a second. Hello. ಆಯ್ತು ನೋಡ್ತೀನಿ right. Young male met with a road traffic accident is brought to the casualty and complains of chest pain now. BP is 130 by 80 and pulse rate is okay. Respiratory is also 28 too. Now this patient has come road traffic accident. This is the X-ray. What is it now?
So,
Choice is cardiac tamponade. Tension pneumothorax.
no, no.
Flail chest fracture. Of these ribs. Esophageal rupture and pneumomediastinum. What is the diagnosis?
Sir, I think tension pneumothorax and pneumomediastinum confusing, sir.
Tension means which side, man? Both side tension, left and right. Mediastinum is center or shifted any side?
Trachea shifted, sir.
Which side?
Shifted to right side, sir.
Multiplies. Little. Probably the X-ray is taken with angulation, I believe. Hardly there is. You want to say vertebra? Not much. Not enough to cause tension pneumothorax. Okay,
Then,
then.
sir,
There is no
pneumomediastinum.
pneumo only. Don't only go for pneumo. You are able to see lung markings up to here, man. Why you are forgetting here? You are seeing all lung markings here. You are
So
seeing.
that's why pneumomediastinum, sir.
Why you say where is why do you say it is pneumomediastinum? You don't have
Sir,
other choices. Why not cardiac tamponade?
sir, cardiac tamponade is cardiomegaly is there, sir. But
Cardiomegaly is not that much. Okay. So that's it. What? Hello. What?
no, sir. Anything.
Now I'll show normal X-ray now. Is it normal X-ray? This is a normal X-ray. Now look at this normal X-ray. Come back here. What is the difference? Sorry. This is the X-ray. This. Compare. What is the difference? Focus
Yes,
here.
sir.
This is a diaphragm. Huh? This is a diaphragm. You can see up till here. This diaphragm you can see up till here. But can you see diaphragm here?
No, sir.
Are you able to see diaphragm in this range?
No.
No. Huh? Huh? Okay. Here I can trace diaphragm up till here. Aram se. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
You can see diaphragm na nicely. Huh? Okay. This is because of pneumomediastinum. Inside the mediastinum there is a air, so there is a easily you can see separation of diaphragm from the heart. Yeah. Hmm? Okay. Continuous diaphragm line it is called. So if this is there, it is a sign of pneumomediastinum. Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Huh? Pneumomediastinum. Okay. And the as it is a road traffic accident, esophageal rupture is a cause for it. Okay. This is the correct answer. Hmm? Hmm? Chest X-ray shows presence of what?
Hydropneumothorax.
Yeah, very good. Flat horizontal line, no Ellis curve. There
Horizontal
is a
line.
air and there is a line. Hydropneumothorax. Hmm? Hmm? Lung abscess means they will not be like this. Huh? Hmm?
Lobulated, sir. Like.
Yeah. Which is incorrect regarding conditions being managed in the picture. What is this they're doing here? What procedure is being done? Can you all see? It's a very
Yes, sir.
small.
Blood fluid aspiration, sir.
Huh?
Fluid
What?
aspiration.
Blood
What
fluid
fluid?
aspiration.
Where? Where? Pleural
Sir,
effusion is done, na?
yes, sir.
Pleural
Pleural
fluid
effusion.
aspiration. Huh? See, you can see the syringe here, and they have put this. You can see this. What is this?
Drain
There
pipe.
must be a byway here, which is not properly seen. This is a saline tube connected while aspirating, pushing, aspirating like this and pushing it down. Okay. What you do is you aspirate fluid, huh? Then push it back with the valve here. There will be valve here. Huh? You're done. Anytime fluid aspiration. Huh?
Mm, yes,
Done
sir.
or no?
Yes, sir. In picture, sir.
Okay. I'm drawing how it is. Huh? Can you see? This is a needle. Okay. This is a byway. This is byway. Then you connect this to this is syringe. Huh? And there will be knob here. Huh? There will be knob here. Huh? Inside this byway. Connect this to saline tube. Huh? Now this byway, na, you can rotate it like this and rotate like this, so that when you if you aspirate like this, change the knob and push it back like this. Fluid will push it back. This. That's what is done here. Hmm? Okay. This is a now they are doing pleural tapping means it is a pleural effusion. So yes, shaped Ellis curve.
Yes,
Here the
sir.
question is
Correct.
which is incorrect. So yes, Ellis curve, yes, it is there. Cardiac
Correct.
resistance will be there or no?
Yes.
Null node. Why? Bronchial breathing. Where you get
No, sir.
bronchial breathing? In pleural effusion. Above the level of the fluid, there can be bronchial breathing. You have to know this. Huh? Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Above the level of the fluid, there can be bronchial breathing in case of pleural effusion. So this is also correct. So air entry is normal, they're telling. Air entry is actually decreased. Hmm? So this is also incorrect in this. Okay. Hmm?
Yes, sir.
In pleural effusion, above the level of the fluid, immediately above the level of the fluid, there can be bronchial breathing. Hmm? Pneumothorax occurs in all except answer this. So ventilator, tension
Yes, sir.
pneumothorax, Marfan syndrome, well known. Langerhans cell, there will be pneumatocysts. But
Pneumatocyst.
bronchopulmonary aspergillosis, you get a central bronchiectasis. Na?
Yes, sir.
So this doesn't
Center.
cause pneumothorax. Okay, this is the answer. Hmm? The most common cause of acute mediastinum.
Esophageal perforation.
Yeah,
Nasal perforation.
yeah, esophageal perforation. We discussed this just now. Incorrect regarding chylous fluid effusion. Most common cause is trauma.
Yes, sir.
Milky white
Correct.
fluid. High
Yes, sir.
cholesterol.
No,
Octreotide is
sir.
used. What?
Three.
This is
Okay.
which? What is correct? Incorrect.
Triacyl.
Correct.
It is triglycerides, not cholesterol. Okay.
Cholesterol.
So this is the answer. Hmm? Which of the following may lead to exudative pleural effusion? Cirrhosis, systemic,
Bronchogenic carcinoma.
Bronchogenic
nephrotic,
carcinoma.
congestive heart systemic, bronchogenic carcinoma is a
Bronchogenic carcinoma.
yeah. This is carcinoma. That is answer. All of the following are Light's criteria for exudative pleural effusion except
Fourth one, sir.
pleural fluid protein serum protein ratio more than 0.5. Pleural fluid LDH serum protein LD serum LDH 0.6. More than 2/3 LDH. Then ADA. Which is incorrect in this?
Sir,
Pleural fluid
ADH.
serum
LDA.
88.
ADA is not a part of Light's criteria at all.
Yes, sir.
This is the answer. Hmm? Hmm? All the
Yes, sir.
following are true about pleural effusion except more than one answer may be the answer.
Decreased
So
chest
what is
movement also.
the Ellis curve will be there? Huh? Horizontal
Decrease
fluid level means hydropneumothorax. Huh?
Yes, sir. It's not
Huh? So
false, sir.
horizontal level. This is the answer. Except means okay. Decreased lung volume. Yeah, because of effusion, the lung will get collapsed partially. Na? So decrease one. This is also true.
Decrease heart sounds.
Huh? Decrease heart sounds. So do you get decreased heart sounds?
chest movement decrease.
Chest movement decrease, not decrease heart sounds.
There can be. If there is a lot of effusion around the heart, the heart sounds may not be heard properly. Just like a pericardial effusion, is a large effusions on the left side that can produce heart sounds also. Okay. Decreased chest movement, yeah, it's also there. So these three are correct now. What is succussion flash?
Sir,
Where you
intestinal
get
obstruction.
succussion flash? Huh?
Intestinal
Sajjad,
obstruction.
huh? Classically, it is described in a hydropneumothorax. For that, you need air and fluid inside the cavity. Inside the cavity, there has to be air and fluid. So when you move, it produces sound. You hold the chest and make it move and auscultate. Ah, okay. This is a cavity. If there is air, hello, background. So if there is a part to produce a succussion flash, fluid alone is not sufficient. There has to be a column of air above that so that the fluid moves inside that cavity. Okay. In effusion, there is no air. So succussion flash doesn't occur. Huh? Horizontal fluid, these two are the answers. Okay. These three, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Tuberculous pleural effusion is characterized by all of the following except hemorrhagic fluid, pleural fluid LDH more than 60% of the serum LDH, increased deaminase, increased mesothelial cells.
Sir, increase mesothelial, sir.
Yeah, this is not there. Huh? This is not a sign. It's not a sign of inflammation. Actually, this is the correct answer. Low glucose pleural effusion is seen in all except Dressler, emphysema, malignant pleural effusion, rheumatoid arthritis. Low
Rheumatoid
glucose.
arthritis.
Huh? What?
Rheumatoid arthritis.
The lowest is actually rheumatoid
No, sir.
arthritis. Sugar. See, these three you
Medium for, sir.
get low glucose. What is Dressler syndrome?
Sir, it's
Post myocardial
myocardial.
infarction, death of the myocardium. Na? The inflammation of the pericardial and its surrounding structures can happen. So that will produce effusion. That is the inflammation itself is the Dressler syndrome. And this effusion will not be having low glucose. Okay. This is the answer. These three you get low glucose. Pleural effusion with the low glucose causes malignant pleural effusion, rheumatoid, parapneumonic, tuberculosis, pneumothorax. This is lung fluke, Church-Strux syndrome. All things produce low glucose. High amylase fluid in the pleural fluid is due to Where you get high amylase? Tuberculosis, malignancy, rheumatoid arthritis, pulmonary infarction. Amylase level.
Mm.
Esophageal
Malignancy.
rupture, pancreatitis, and malignancy. 3 causes. So
Malignancy.
high glucose amylase is esophageal rupture. Huh? Then pancreatitis. Then malignancy. They cause high amylase in the pleural fluid. Tuberculosis pleural effusion is characterized by all of the following except
Increased
repetition. Sorry.
methylation.
Huh? Question repeated. Sorry. Cholesterol crystals in the pleural fluid. Myxedema, hypertriglyceridemia, hyperthyroidism, sarcoidosis. Where you get cholesterol crystals?
To
Myxedema.
hyper
Myxedema. Huh?
Hypertriglyceridemia.
What?
hypertriglyceridemia.
Hypertriglyceridemia. Here I am asking cholesterol crystals. This is the one. In myxedema, you got hypercholesterolemia. Cholesterol as such will increase. So this is the cause. Okay. Left-sided pleural effusion. ECG, all except. Left axis deviation, absent R wave, peaked P wave, precordial T wave inversion.
Precordial inversion.
So if you got a effusion on some side, the mediastinum shifts to the opposite side. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if it is shifting to the other side, the axis will also goes to the opposite side. Electrical axis. Because
Yes, sir. Right side.
all of the heart, all so it will got right axis if at all, but it can never
Yes.
have left axis. Okay, this is actually wrong answer. Now let me come to this. Because there is a lot of fluid around the heart, the electrical activity recording will also be less. So R waves will become absent. Peaked P waves are also not there. Peaked left side peaked P waves can be there. Sorry, precordial T wave inversions can be there. So this is the one thing. Okay. Hmm? Now, the causes for left and right side pleural effusion. The left sided means acute pancreatitis predominant. Esophageal rupture, Dressler syndrome, they cause left sided, whereas this one will produce right sided pleural effusion. Huh? Hold on, they're calling me. Hello? Study on the study. Huh? So, the right side you get amoebic liver abscess, cirrhosis, CCF,
Liver-
Meek syndrome. Right side, this is the left side. These all slides are available in the classroom. There you can download and read about them. Fine. I think so. The last question. The patient with a history of chest trauma presents to the emergency department with a BP of 90/70 mmHg and pulse rate 120. So patient has got a chest trauma present to the emergency room with the BP down. Pulse rate is also high, increased. The patient is observed for to be short of breath using accessory muscles of respiration. JVP is elevated. The most likely diagnosis is now you got a patient with an increased JVP. So tension pneumothorax, massive pneumothorax, cardiac component, none of the above.
So not elevated, sir.
JVP not elevated, sorry. Where you don't get JVP not elevated.
Sir, it also.
Huh?
Sir, it can be tension pneumothorax and it can be massive pneumothorax, sir.
So what is the answer? Not this of it is the most likely diagnosis.
Tension pneumothorax.
Yeah, that's a better choice. Okay. Hmm? So not
Okay,
tension
sir.
pneumothorax. Actually, it is none of the above. Huh? All these things JVP can get elevated. It is none of the above. Huh? Huh? Okay. JVP is not elevated. It is a very tricky question actually. Sometimes you may not get elevated JVP. Fine. The most likely diagnosis means it is very difficult to say. It's not a good question that way. Double negatives, na. This when you put see most likely the most likely diagnosis they are asking now. I did not check this question. How when I put it? Sorry, it come back. I really did not check it. Hold on a second. I'll come. I'm online. I'll see what I have kept in my notes. I'll just go. I'm going through my notes. Cardiac tamponade. Yeah, best answer is cardiac tamponade. That is the best answer anyway. Because now you got a patient observed to have shortness of breath with the excess muscle. Cardiac tamponade is the answer.
Sir, how cardiac components are? It's the characteristics finds
Wait a minute. What?
ABP and called
Huh?
hypotension.
See, the patient has a history of chest trauma present to emergency department. The patient is observed to have shortness of breath with the accessory muscles of respiration. JP is not elevated. The most likely diagnosis. Whether it is accept or answer, I believe I have done a mistake here. I'll come
So
back.
what if the JVP is elevated? So what will be the most specific answer for this
See,
question?
definitely JVP will not be elevated. AVP elevation in tamponade is not a sign. You get a constitutive pericarditis, JVP is not elevated. Huh? Okay. But the JVP is not always elevated in tension pneumothorax and massive pneumothorax. Sometimes it not be
Yes,
elevated
sir.
also. Huh? So among these, because JVP elevation is not a sign in cardiac tamponade. Constitutive pericarditis is fine. I'll come back whether I have done some mistake in typing. I'll come back and tell you about this. Okay.
Question is confusing. Probably.
I have done some mistake in typing. This is my typing mistake. Huh? Okay. Huh?
Yes.
I'll discuss this in next class. This question. Okay. Huh?
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
sir.
Okay. If you got any doubts further than this, you ask me. Anything?
No, sir.
Okay
Can you
then.
tell me about that biot breathing is seen in?
What?
So there is a breathing known as biot breathing. Biot. Can you tell me in which it is found?
What? What breathing? Hello?
Biot breathing, sir. Biot.
Spelling? Can you spell it?
BIOT.
Biot breathing. Ataxic breathing. You're talking about? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ataxic breathing you get in a CNR disease, na?